So I'm Shauna, and I set up Bristol Counselling Outdoors almost 4 years ago. And at the time I made a film when it was a really warm summer. I thought it would be interesting to make another film to reflect a little bit on what I've learned, but also to kind of acknowledge the woods and their beauty in winter time as well. One of the things that has really helped in my understanding of being outdoors and how that's helpful is doing nature meditation, so meditating but outside in nature. Although there's lots of theory, the one that really stands out for me is the Derby University theory on nature connection, and what they say is you can march through a forest or a beach or whatever and you will get lots of gain from that. You certainly get exercise, you'll get a raised heartbeat, you'll get fresh air, you'll get sunlight. But if you connect with your surroundings in a slightly deeper way, what you experience is more therapeutic value from that. And what they say is, well, there's 5 pathways to deepen that connection. First one is about mindfulness of the senses. There can be a really helpful thing of kind of tuning into what's happening for you inside and noticing what you're noticing outside. Part of coming for counselling at the beginning is allowing time to just walk in slowly and kind of soak into the woodland a bit. Another pathway is noticing compassion, theory being that if you spend more time outside, you have more compassion for the world and the environment. It probably goes both ways, because there's also the third way is noticing your emotions. If someone comes out and they're feeling really stressed, wound up by maybe work or something, and they come out to a more spacious place where you can hear birds, sometimes people just burst into tears. There's this kind of opening, and I think that's also the kind of compassion for that person being out in nature, so it's almost like a two-way thing. The fourth one is beauty, really noticing when something just looks lovely, you know, not kind of marching through and thinking, oh yeah, there was a few colours, but really noticing the detail of it. I mean, similarly, you can notice what repels you, so there might be a dead pigeon or something, and the impact that has as well. But it's all giving you information about yourself and your relationship with nature. There's meanings and signs, and there's just masses of metaphor that you can use to just reflect on things that are going on in your life. The weather, you know, in a sense, you just can't control the weather, and it's going to change, and sometimes it's beautiful sunshine and sometimes it's absolutely hammering down with rain. In terms of the actual work here, it's the wind that's the biggest problem. If the wind's too high, there is a safety issue. But apart from that, we're pretty much set up. But there's all sorts of metaphors, and in a sense you can kind of play with those a little bit. So someone who, for example, might struggle with initiative, or they just feel a little bit like, oh no, I've got to do things as I'm told to do it. You can experiment with walking off the path, walking through the slightly more bush area. The holly lower down is really prickly because the deer come through and eat it. But actually, if you look up the tree, it's not nearly so prickly. I think that's a lovely metaphor of coping mechanisms. A lot of people arrive feeling they've got a problem and trying to think their way out of a problem, and sometimes that then becomes the problem because it can be exhausting, that kind of repetitive thought trying to find a way around and affect your sleep. It's hard to be present, and with this kind of sense of meaning, you can do it creatively anyway, but when you're in the woodland, you've got objects all around you, but they're all alive, you know, the trees are alive. There's a kind of a life pattern in that, which I think is quite powerful. So my experience of working outdoors has been a really lovely experience, actually, seeing things in a wider, more expansive way, and being able to let go. If you're interested in having counselling yourself, getting supervision, by all means get in touch with me, either through my email, bristolcounsellingoutdoors@gmail.com, or through my website, which is bristolcounsellingoutdoors.org.uk, and I would love to hear from you.